Nathan Dortmann is a professional triathlete living in the city of Brisbane up in Queensland, Australia. And he asked one question: what can I do to find 2 minutes in my Ironman swim time? So I put on my detective hat and went to the pool to visit Nathan. And like a policeman dusting for fingerprints, I pulled out my two tools that work every time: GoPro and the Swimbetter. And we could use these tools to investigate and see exactly where those 2 minutes could potentially come from. Can we find 2 minutes in Nathan's swim? So with Nathan currently averaging a 54-minute Ironman swim, needing to get down to 52, we wanted to see what his stroke looked like from multiple angles. And we also wanted just to see what was the difference in power and what was he doing throughout his stroke that was either slowing him down or causing him to slip through the water. What you'll find here is that some of those things became very evident when we started to look at the video and then look at how that related to his data. The thing that stood out most to me was what was happening with his right arm. You can see here that as he entered, he was in quite a good position through here coming through, except that the hand was then going super wide out here. And we know that when you go too wide, you lose a lot of power, and you think of that direction of the force, especially through here, very little of that's going to be pressing backwards. Most of that's going to be going in an outwards direction, which obviously doesn't help you go forward. So we could see that this position was causing him to lose a lot of propulsion. A really good position we find is here with the hand narrower than the elbow. You can actually see his left arm gets to that position right here. That's a terrific position to be in, but he wasn't quite getting that with the right hand side. So I wanted to dig into exactly what might be causing that and how he can go about making that change, aside from just thinking about it and doing some drills to change it. Now, there's two things that stood out to me that may have been contributing to it. One is his rotation. He was a little bit flat at this point. If we measure that rotation through his hips and shoulders, there's room for him to go a little bit more on his side. So you can see there, he's around 28 degrees. I like to see 30 to 40 degrees rotation, and his hips there as well. He was just a little bit flat. So what I'd encourage him to do there is get a little bit more rotation to start with. Then there were two other things that looked like he might be able to adjust. The first one is the recovery. So with his left hand coming over the top of the water here, he's fairly wide with it. Now in open water, in triathlon, I think an open recovery is good. Definitely don't come really close to the body. There's no need for that. However, if you do go too wide and you swing too wide and flat, it can throw the balance off a bit. And you can see that happening a little bit here with Nathan, where when this swung around a little bit too wide, that was partly causing that hand to go out wide as well. So if we could bring those two things in, so with a slightly different recovery where perhaps he's just a little bit closer to the body, that might help him keep that right arm in control and holding a better line through there instead of drifting out wide. And the other thing that might have been contributing to it as well is if you have a look at his hand on entry, he's coming over and the hand's got quite a bit of turn to the side. It's at quite an angle. So he's going in thumb first with the palm facing out to the side, which you can also see in this position through here. You can see there that his hand is at quite an angle. Now, does that always lead to the hand drifting out? No. So that's less of a concern, I would say, but it's another thing that's worth just considering. Now, if we want to put some numbers to that, we can take a look at the Swimbetter data. And this is what was really interesting. We could see a big difference in power between his left arm and his right arm, primarily because of how wide that right arm was going at times. So let's take a look at that data. Now, what we can see here with the Swimbetter data was he was consistently getting 0.7 newtons more force on his left-hand side. So you can see there 2.8 newtons on his left, 2.1 on his right. And that's consistent across the board here. So between each of the laps, just consistently getting quite a lot more power, something like 30% more, 35% more power just on that one side. And another thing that stood out here as well, if we have a look at the stroke path and the hand velocity, you can see here, if we have a look at a left-hand stroke, you can see that it enters there, comes out a little bit, and then comes in. So it's a relatively straight path, which is good. We don't want too much curve, too much of an S. A skinny S is what we're looking for. Now let's have a look at a right-hand stroke. See out there, so it enters, comes across, and then goes way out to the side, and then comes back in. So it doesn't follow that skinny S that I like to see. It's just going out very, very wide there. And that's pretty consistent across all of them here. And we look at the next right stroke. Again, you can just see going out way too wide there. Now you can see here, if we have a look at just the right arm only, we go to the lateral forces here. So we're talking side to side forces. You can see that he is entering the water and then the hand's going out really wide. And there's quite a bit of that outward force here. Okay, so that's going out to the right. And then we see it coming back in through here. So there's a lot of that side to side movement, left to right, happening with too many forces just going off to the side. And we'll have a look here just at the propulsive force as well. So this propulsive force on that right hand side, okay, it's quite good, but we do get a big dip through here. Now we do expect that to drop off a little bit, but if there's too much of a dip here, what that basically means is that as he's coming through his stroke, he's having the hand having to turn in too much because he's coming from such a wide position that propulsive force drops right off. And then it picks back up a bit as he comes closer to the hip, but there's this big dip, which is pretty consistent in each of those strokes. So if he was able to be more consistent with that force over the course of a stroke by not drifting outwards so much, if he could be a little bit straighter with it, keep that propulsive force, the force pushing backwards to moving forwards, that's going to help him find those 2 minutes within that Ironman swim. Here's a video that Nathan sent through the other week where he'd been working on that right arm catch and not drifting so wide. And you can see here, it's come a long way. So if he's able to do that on a consistent basis, I think that's going to be the key. So will this help Nathan find 2 minutes in his Ironman swim time? Only time will tell. And we'll follow up with another video in the future to catch up with Nathan and see how he's going with this. We might record some more Swimbetter data as well to see how he's going with that change and how that's impacting the data, and particularly the force. Is he able to improve that force so that it's becoming more even across the two of them?